Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so it's the day after the Lakers got their fifth straight win against, well, everybody, but we got that win against the Sacramento Kings, and I'm super pleased with just the overall efficiency level of players on this team. On the offensive side was just phenomenal yesterday. A continuity, guys willing to play with one another, guys passing up good shots for great shots, bad shots for good shots, stuff like that, helping one another. Defense wasn't really the game that we saw yesterday, but against Atlanta and against Miami and other games as well, we've seen this team just continue to defend at a solid level. So I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from my team overall, and I'm encouraged by just the overall leaning in on size, finally playing centers and power forwards and players that can ultimately get us what we need in that regard. So it's a lot to be excited about in LA, but I'm a bit nervous. And I'm telling you guys, I'm always the guy looking at things the other way. While everybody's cheering, I'm like, it's always something like that in my mind. And I think it can be a bit annoying for some, but I think it can be safe in some ways in regards to keeping us on our toes. And one of the things that I'm looking at here is Thomas Bryant is exerting a lot of energy right now, just like we did with LeBron James last year when we had him running center and he was balling in the middle of the season. It was like 10 straight games where he was putting up ridiculous numbers playing the center, and ESPN was screaming, he needs to play the center forever. And I'm like, no, because small ball is not his game. We don't need him playing center because ultimately he's not a big. He can do what it is that he does from any position, and that is what they saw. But the reality is that we weren't winning that much because we didn't have a center on the floor. Well, now I'm looking at an entirely different situation. Now that's Thomas Bryant, and we're running him the same usage, and I love what I'm getting from him, but I don't think it's sustainable because of his history and because of just how much energy he has to exert naturally because he's a high energy player. I like that we're leaning in on him, and I think he is who he is, but what he's going to need is the same thing Anthony Davis needs: more backups to make sure that they have enough players to come in and allow them rest for games where the game is blown out, games where they need to sit a back-to-back. They have a backup that is legitimate, so they don't have to rush back into gameplay or have it be determined whether or not we can have rim protection if they're on the floor. This is the problem the Lakers have right now. If Thomas Bryant were to go down with an injury, we're going to start tumbling back down the standings because we don't have a center until AD comes back. I'm looking at the situation and I'm saying to you guys, most people are saying getting a center now makes less sense because of how Thomas Bryant is playing. And I'm telling you, I think we need to get a center because of how Thomas Bryant is playing. I think that should be the number one thing we do. We need to go get Jakob Poeltl. We need to go get Miles Turner. Or we need to go get one of those centers that we can put next to Thomas Bryant. I would prefer him actually be behind Thomas Bryant, but I think for what it is the Lakers would ultimately want to do, they're going to want to get a high-level center just in case when these dudes go down, we can still push forward for a championship. Because ultimately, I like what I'm seeing from TB, and I want him to play center at the starting position for the rest of his career, if possible, because he's a guy that we drafted and we know what he's about, and there should be no reason he puts on any other uniform. So I want him to be my starting center. But what I think we need to accomplish is making sure that we're smart about exactly what we should expect from him going forward. He's a heck of a player, and I think he can get better defensively, even though I don't think he's that great defensively yet. But we're going to need to get him a legitimate backup, and we're going to need to accept the fact that big men are going to need that. You know what I mean? In this league, I know it's a small, wingy kind of league with forwards and everything, but if you're going to be center-eccentric, then you need to make sure you have enough of them that are at that level. Because I'm telling you, if you got Thomas Bryant playing like this and AD playing like this, and then you expect them to miss games, which I expect them both to, if the next guy up is Damian Jones or Wenyen Gabriel undersized, it ain't gonna work. You fall. And so if we're playing for these guys to be durable, then we need to respect that they are not Mikal Bridges and Looney up in Golden State. These are the more iron men of the league. You can lean on them in the way that we're asking ourselves to lean on TB and AD, because those guys, you can for sure, they're gonna play every single game. But if the Lakers are only gonna lean on these two, then we're gonna be losing games when they get hurt, and they're expected to get hurt. This is what I would want the Lakers to do. Go get me a guy like Naz Reid, somebody who's not necessarily going to step in front of Thomas Bryant, but somebody who can play at his level, somebody who may challenge him just in case he starts slipping in any way, and somebody who can play with Anthony Davis as well, so that we can keep that rotation strong. And then, in my mind, we don't have to ask Wenyen Gabriel to play so much 5. We can still keep him at the 4 because he's still essential to what it is that we do. I wouldn't want to remove him rotation. But what we can do is kind of slip guys like Damian Jones and JTA in a different direction, and then put ourselves in a more of a rotation that way. So maybe instead of going after a higher level Jakob Poeltl, who will most definitely step in front of Thomas Bryant, maybe you bring in a guy like Naz Reid, who doesn't necessarily project to step in front of him if he's playing this way. So that's one way to look at it. But for me, I'm thinking Thomas Bryant is on a $1 million contract or something of that nature. The chances of somebody like Phoenix, who may lose, and Ayton, who probably wants out anyway, a team like Phoenix would probably want to take him and overpay for him or something like that, as to which we would lose him just off of the strength of that. In my mind, if we had a higher level center like Jakob Poeltl in place with negotiations on the table to kind of offset that, maybe we can have a chance of keeping one of them. Hopefully we wouldn't lose both of them, but that would be the type of thing I would think about, having a team that would be as good as this team is going to be at the end of the season. I think one of those 2 centers will want to come back. So you give yourself a little leverage. If you're the Lakers, try to keep one of them, 2 of them, both of them. I don't know how you want to do that. That's a lot of salary for a center, but at the very least, you find yourself in a situation where you're going to be very good with that position. Because I'm more so concerned about going back down to that small ball stuff, or finding ourselves leaning too much on Anthony Davis and LeBron James to play the big spots going forward. No, Thomas Bryant has given us a recipe for success, and it's having a real legitimate center in place at all times. A 5, an actual one, a 7-footer like him. And so that's what I want the Lakers to do. Prioritize making sure he has what he needs, as well as his money, so that he stays a part of our franchise. So, looking at Russell Westbrook at $47 million, I want Russell Westbrook coming back next year at a much lesser price, but he's essential to what this unit looks like. And so if we're going to continue to invest in this unit, I think bringing him back may actually be essential to what it is that we're doing. And I know that sounds weird to people, but not if you're watching what's happening out there. I think part of why Thomas Bryant was able to get 29 points, which I thought was 19, forgive me yesterday if you watched that video, but either way, he went off crazy. And I think one of the reasons why he's able to go off crazy, if you notice, is because of how quickly Russell Westbrook consistently gets him the ball. These things are very important to understand. Who complements who, and how do they make them as good as they are if they do that? And I think that Thomas Bryant's energy and Russell Westbrook's energy go hand in hand. LeBron James, all 3 of them hand in hand, because they're hyperactive players. And so when you consider Thomas Bryant is mostly relying upon people feeding him and the ball coming off of the rim, when you consider who's feeding him, at how quick he's being fed, then you understand why he's being able to accumulate so many stats. Russell Westbrook had like 15 assists in yesterday's game. This is not production you're going to get from the average guard. So if you don't have Thomas Bryant on the floor with a passer like that, your production is probably going to be lesser for Thomas Bryant. It's going to be mostly offensive rebounds for him and whatever reliant passing that comes his way from those guards. So you got to consider those things. It's like Thomas Bryant is going to play at this level if he plays with Chris Paul, if he plays with LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, LaMelo Ball. You see what I'm saying? These are the players. As long as he has those type of players on the floor, they're going to get him the ball. But if he's playing with CJ McCollum, you know what I'm saying? No disrespect to those players who don't pass as much. You know what I mean? If he's playing with those type of players, yeah, not as much production. Or if he's playing at a slower pace, if he's playing with, say, Luka Doncic, much slower pace, not going to get the ball as much, maybe as high efficiency, but, he ain't going to be looking like this, because it ain't going to be high pace and ain't going to be, him getting the ball as much. So these are the things you think about, and I think Russell Westbrook is a very, very, very much a compliment to everybody on the team, as it pertains to how quickly he gets them the ball and how quickly he scores himself. When you consider what the defense has to react to and things of that nature, the way that other players have to be guarded on this team allow for certain things. So these are things to consider when trying to assess how to best, price who you have and what you need. You know what I mean? So that's important to me. I think Russell Westbrook is engine that makes the volume of what it is that we're able to accumulate take place. I really believe that, because he's always attacking so fast. And as somebody who, and this is gonna sound silly, but it's the truth, as somebody who played the video game as much as I did 2K, one of the things that I often did was look to rhythm pass, like get a lot of assists. I would be the guy to try to assist more than score a lot of the time. And so what I notice he does is accumulate the same type of assists I would be looking to accumulate in the game, which are easy, quick assists to the big man faster than most of the time the defense can catch up. I'd want a really, really fast point guard like him, and then I'm just looking to dart the ball all over the place and then score where otherwise they're not, because I couldn't really shoot in the game. That was usually my build. So, if you're following what I'm saying, what I'm seeing him do is attacking. The same way he attacks the rim, but with the pass to a guy like Thomas Bryant, with the pass to a guy like LeBron James. And because they have such fantastic hands and they're as quick as he is in terms of catching the ball and moving as fast, you can light the score up real fast. So like if the Lakers, for example, want to speed up the pace, which is what we play well doing anyway, we'll probably be better, even though we have these bigger players. I would experiment with an uptick of the pace. I would experiment with it, because that's what's really been able to ultimately really attack teams. You figure Russell Westbrook and LeBron James, they just coming at these guys too fast and too strong. But when we slow down, we don't really have the shooting to kind of make that make sense, as I've been trying to describe pretty much since the start of the season. So this is what I'm seeing, you know what I mean? I love what I'm seeing from Thomas Bryant as retains his mid-range jumper. I think that's a big part of what it is that has opened up the game for him so much in these last couple of days, is that he's not missing that at all. And I tell you, that is what more players, especially LeBron James, needs to study. Because LeBron James, I've watched him do this for 5 years straight. He passes up mid-range jumpers that are left for him, like Thomas Bryant's three-point mid-range jumpers. Some of those. Now he'll take the fadeaways. He'll take the ones that he's comfortable in rhythm. But sometimes guys will just leave him around them, say the 18-foot range, and he doesn't have that just spot of bow. Like you leave a guy like Trae Young there, Swiper, Fox, guys like that. You leave them there, CJ. We've mentioned they're gonna take advantage of that sweet spot, because they know defenses are not looking to defend that most of the time in this era. It's about defending the three in the paint. But LeBron James doesn't have that mid-range jumper that he can go to at a moment's notice. Just bow. Like if you give me too much space, I'm just hitting it in a matter of a second. And that's what I'm seeing TB able to take advantage of, because he's a 7-footer and they're leaving him in that space. So he's just hitting it, bow. He's pulling a LaMarcus Aldridge and just hitting it on him. And so if that can continue to fall for him, if he's going to hit it at that level, he might be an all-star, you guys. Like literally. Because that's what all-stars are made of. When you consider, God, they just create space for themselves so that the defense has to play off of them. Otherwise, they're too big. Then from there, they're just able to attack. So it's like, it's sort of like, Shaq had to create that for himself as well. He had like a little hook type of thing. It wasn't necessarily a jump, a free throw type of, or a jumper. But from that space, usually from the corners, he was able to attack. He had a little jumper, a little hook thing. And so they would have to play him close in those ranges. And as a result, he was able to use his black shadow move. We would spin off of him, get a little dunk or whatever he wanted to do, get passes off to other players, find Derek Fisher or Fox in the corner, because of such situations where the defense had to guard him in those spaces. Now, LeBron James usually has different angles in regards to that space, but it's still left open. Usually straight away, the elbows, but it's usually open. And he just doesn't take advantage of it a lot of times. Sometimes even in transition, even though you'd rather him attack, sometimes they're sitting there waiting for him to come at them with either a Euro step move or charge into him or something like that. 9 out of 10 times he's evasive enough to get around him. But I've seen situations where he could just stop and pop. You know what I mean? Like literally stop and pop. And so if he works on that over the next couple of years, and I know he's working on new stuff into his game, but if he works that into his game, once again, more so unstoppable, because it's not going to be about whether or not he's as strong or as fast. It's going to be about his more so fundamentals and how you have to guard him all over the floor. I tell a guy like LeBron James, and you guys heard me mention a guy like DeAndre Hunter, I would tell him that's where I would want to go. You know, guys like CP3 get it. You want to start mastering all those little angles that this era doesn't want to guard. Because 9 out of 10 teams are only looking to guard certain levels. And otherwise, at mid-range, it's left open. So all the guys that destroy people from the mid-range, they're killing it. Look at DeMar DeRozan. Guy's getting 45, 35, 37, 30. Why? Because he kills the mid-range and they don't guard it. They literally don't guard it. That's why his numbers are so inflated to hell, because he's mastered that shot. And so as he continues to get better in his career, as he always does, because that's one of his gifts, he continues to ascend. I've been watching him since the beginning with his numbers, and we've talked about it a lot of times. DeMar DeRozan's still getting better too. But that's what I'm saying. You know, guys are getting older, and they can still incorporate new things into their game. And I think LeBron James should consider all these little mid-range areas that he doesn't attack from, and how the defense would allow him to score so much from those areas. He'd have got to Kareem 6 years ago if he would have took advantage of some of them spots that I'm talking about. But he doesn't have that mid-range game that I want him to start working into it. So these type of things that happens when you are a Laker fan and you listen to somebody like me, we're going to challenge the best to be better. You feel me? Because the thing about being the best is the fact that you can get better. You've been doing it your whole life. You've at a high level. So it's like, why can't you incorporate new things? I'm watching him do it. More mid-range stuff. And that's what I want to see him do, and continue to attack with the assists, because that's his gift. LeBron James has left more assists on the table than anybody else. I kid you not. And I know he has more assists than most. Probably, what is he, 4th, 2nd, somewhere all time? He'd have been first. A long time ago. He passes up opportunities sometimes just because he doesn't love passing like that. It's a secret, but he doesn't. He loves scoring more. He really does, even though it's something that he loves to do. It's not something, it's something that he's good at. It's not something that I feel he loves to do as much as he loves to score. For whatever set of reasons, I don't know. But that's what I've gathered from the man, you know? And so I can relate to that in a way, because I've been told I'm better at poetry than I am in most other things. And I don't really love poetry at all. But it's like, if I'm great at it, it's like I should probably do it just out of respect for the talent. But nah, I don't want to do that. I'd rather do something else. I'd rather talk, you know? So it's like, I think LeBron James has passing as that. He don't really want to do it, but he's like the best in the world at it. So we're seeing him over the last several games incorporating more into his game. And I think Russell Westbrook is rubbing off on him in a way, because Russell Westbrook is kind of giving him an up close and personal way of looking at how he accumulates quick and easy assists. And I think that's also something LeBron James can study, because it really does help us. It's the difference, you know what I mean? It's to where LeBron James wants to walk the pace up slow sometimes and kind of settle for jumpers that never work out for him. He continues to see it. We're laying eyes on him missing jumpers, and then it turned into transition buckets. He's seeing it, and it's always turning out that way. But Russell Westbrook's a guy who has an affinity for wanting to get assists, and lots of them all the time. I think he can actually break the assist record one day. I'm telling you, I think he can. But it's one of those situations where he's looking to get a boom, 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 boom. And I think LeBron James has the talent to do that, even better than Russell. He hasn't had the example to study up close like he has now. So these are the type of things I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm overthinking it and thinking too much into LeBron James and what he would be willing to do at this stage in his career. But somebody like myself, and I'm a little older than him, so I'm telling you, I'm still excited about the different things that you can learn about this game. I'm still excited about the ways you can attack people. I'm still excited, if I'm him physically, about the ways I can get better. Because there are ways. He's leaving points on the board. He's leaving assists on the board. He's leaving rebounds on the board. And people still think he ain't better than Michael Jordan. So I'm telling you that if his body feels good enough, and if his mind is still sharp enough, there are areas of the game that he can still master. And I'm seeing time management, the way he attacks games in terms of closing them out, the pace in which he wants to attack teams, and his mentality as it pertains to how to preserve victories, that he can get better. And I'm telling you how. It's one of them situations where instead of pulling back on clock management in regards to the last 5 minutes of the game, where he tends to want to slow it down and conserve energy, he needs to put his pedal to the metal. You will make up that energy when the teams are blowing teams out because they've gotten better, because they've been winning. Do you see how that correlates? Ooh, we won this game. Okay, now we're better tomorrow. And we know how to win. You see what I'm saying? It's a domino effect thing that I think leaders inherently understand when they do certain things as to where LeBron James is looking to conserve energy on certain plays, and it will parlay him into a situation where his team isn't as confident and they're losing. It's a weird thing how that works. Guys just need to see wins happen, and how you attack down the stretch versus how you conserve your energy can be the difference maker between whether or not you'll have the rest and the teammates that'll hold you up when you need that rest. These are things I'm telling you. And so I'm like, look, when I've been watching Kobe Bryant make certain mistakes and things like that, Shaq and these guys over the years, and it kind of put me in a space where I feel like I could help a guy like LeBron James if he would have followed me. I've seen so much. It's like I've literally watched this game more than any human being should probably watch it based on how much time I spent playing the video game alone. So I've studied it with this crazy brain of mine, and I'm telling you, some of the ways he tries to win games has given him the opposite effect of how to do it. And I think he should switch up his philosophy and become more aggressive, more of a killer. It will result in what it is that he's looking for. Because at the end of the day, he's a freight train that cannot be stopped. So the more he attacks these guys that are not in the shape that he's in, the less confident they're going to be as he continues to do so. And being that the referees are not necessarily giving him his whistles and he's taking a lot of punishment, I really want him to consider what I'm saying in regards to this mid-range thing too. It should be his primary understanding that it's going to take some of them hits off of his body and allow him to preserve his strength a little more. So he'll be able to exert more defensive pressure as well on teams when he's not taking so much punishment on the offensive end, but still highly efficient. So that mid-range game, I'm telling you, 15 feet, 14 feet, 18 feet, all different circumferences. I want him to get those into his everyday as it pertains to new ways of shooting. And taking advantage of these guys when they just give him a little bit too much space and he's looking to pass and all this other stuff. When I know he can hit that shot, I absolutely know he can take advantage of that shot. And I think he can master that shot. That's the thing. When I look at LeBron James, I'm like, I've seen him do the amazing in a million different ways, in a million different uniforms. You know what I mean? I still remember the dude that was going up against the Detroit Pistons that one year that just made like 13 or 14 straight possessions. I thought that was the greatest player that I had ever seen play basketball. Like, I'm not going to kid you guys. Watching that dude do that for a split second, I'm like, yo, he's better than everybody. Because he's not making no mistakes. Every play, every possession, both sides of the floor, he was dominating a championship team in a playoff situation. This was the Detroit Pistons. They had just beat my Lakers. And at that point, I'm like, this dude is what? Is it year 1, year 2, something like that? I'm like, I don't know where he's headed, but there's nothing he cannot do. There's nothing he cannot do. He's the one guy that can literally not make a mistake all game long. If he wants to. Like, if he literally wants to. If he locks into his highest frequency, he will make no mistakes for 48 minutes. Best defensive player and best offensive player. I watch it. The way he tracks people defensively when he wants to lock in, he takes away space better than anybody else. I don't think there's a better defender than LeBron James when he actually locks in. It's him, Ben Simmons, guys like that. They're different, man. They know how to create opportunities to put their bodies in front of you better than most. For some reason, just inherently, it seems to me, as I watch them. Like, so when I see LeBron James take plays off or slow down or get to a point where he's down on himself, I'm sitting there like, man, you would have forgot who you are. You forgot who you are. Or you're asking for more help. It's like you're not testing the ability of what you can do in certain areas because you're too busy worried about what's not there. It's like, brother, you're there. That's why all of this is possible. Because that kid could take every possession and make it count. And I couldn't say that for some of my favorite players. I love Kobe, but I couldn't say that about Kobe. Sometimes he throw possessions completely away. Love him to death. Throw him away. Shooting over 5 people. You know what I mean? It's like, Rick Fox is a 3-time NBA champion, brother. You can get him the ball. Like, I promise he'll hit the shot. You know what I mean? It's one of the type of situations. So it's like, Bron had the gift to create plays for others. And I just think what went wrong, in my humble opinion, is just philosophy and pace. 9 out of 10 times, he should have been pressing forward in all 3 of them uniforms Lakers, Cavaliers, and Miami, he should have been pressing forward in certain situations where he probably pulled back a little more, things like that. So this is what I want him to work on here, because we're on a mission to win championships. You know what I mean? Like, literally, if you're in this uniform, we're here to get it all. No matter if we suck, middle of the road, best team in the league, whatever it is, our mentality is how can we get that Larry O'Brien back in our trophy chest. That's it. It's either we're there or we're getting there. So I know that's what his mindset is, because he has a bad record in the finals, respectfully. And I truly believe that we're not done winning championships as a franchise. So if he sticks with us, if however long he gonna play, we're going after it. I don't know if we're gonna capture it, but if we're doing what we're supposed to do, if people listen to me, we're going after it. You know what I mean? And so if we do things the way I'm thinking we should do it, based on what I thought we were before I started seeing Thomas Bryant didn't shoot a play like this, I would have said we need to blow it up and not go forward. But now I have a lot more faith that we have others in plays that don't need as much, so long as we get them enough. That's where I'm at. So it's like, look, we can win. We may not have a whole lot to get better, but we may not need to get a whole lot better if we manage everything we have so that we can keep it. You know what I mean? We may not need to get a whole lot better. We may just need to get a little bit better, as opposed to need to bring in 7 and 8, 9 players here. I don't think so anymore. I legitimately think most of the team I want to bring back next season, and I never thought I'd say that, but here we are. And I think LeBron James and Russell Westbrook are a huge part of that production for the rest of those guys, and I think continuity is a huge part of winning in the NBA. So if we keep swapping teams, we're never going to find that continuity that we need. And I think with Thomas Bryant, Wenyen Gabriel, Austin Reeves, Max Christie, Scottie Pippen, Lonnie Walker, just about the whole damn team, I look up and I'm happy with. I don't know how the heck that happened, but I'm happy. Do I want to get better in certain areas? Yes, I do. I want us to improve. But as far as what we need to get rid of, per se, I don't think a whole lot. Maybe Patrick Beverly, Damian Jones, JTA. I like Kendrick Nunn, but I can move on from Kendrick. After that, I kind of want to keep my team, y'all, including Cole Swider. You know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of want to keep my team. So at this point, I just need my Lakers to breathe a sigh of relief when hearing a Laker fan say that, because that's the best thing you've ever heard me say in regards to what situation you're in. It's the best thing you ever heard it say. And so just keep what you got and get a little bit more to it. Bring something to it. Like I said, if you can get me a center, if it ain't going to cost me 2 picks, I'm with it. Give me a Naz Reid or something like that. I would be very happy with Naz Reid. I've been saying his name on the screen a lot of times. This is the stuff that the Lakers can do to make us a little better and get guys the backups that they need. One more wing. Talk about a guy like, Darius Baisley or something like that. He's not going to cost you a whole lot. He's not even in rotation in OKC. It's a guy that can really help us, even if he's not a world beater. You guys have been talking about getting guys like Mo Harkless. That's a guy that's like that. We can get him. Go get him. 2nd round pick and a half. Go get him. So that's Rob Pelinka's job, man. And I'm telling you, I don't know how sensitive everything he's looking at as pertains to our books is. It could be one contract away from throwing everything off. You know what I mean? I get that. But what we're going to need to do as a franchise is take this 5-game winning streak and believe in it. Like, simply believe in it. And I'm the first guy to tell you, we didn't beat the greatest teams. These are Eastern Conference teams. Some of them were in slumps. Some of them had played good games and looked at us as a type of game, and we took it to them. You know what I mean? If they would have gave us their best, we probably would have had to have a different outcome in some of those games. So I'm not going to sit here and say that this is the greatest 5-game winning streak in the history of the world, but that we have a 5-game winning streak. I don't think we had a 5-game winning streak in 2020 when we won the championship. Does anybody remember 5-game winning streak? I don't. And you're talking about a team without Anthony Davis and Lonnie Walker and Austin Reeves and Troy Brown. We're finding stuff in places where otherwise we didn't know we had it. And so for me, that's all I've ever wanted the team to have happen for us. And at this point, using your pick, 2 picks to get something substantially greater could be good for this unit. And if you're bringing everybody back, including that piece, you can feel real good about that. But if you bring me the wrong piece and those picks end up something great, we will look back at whatever this team's going to turn into and say it still wasn't worth it giving up those picks. So we got to have balance in mind and just be open-minded at the same time. And, I want to see LeBron James win. I want to see him win. I want to see Russell Westbrook win. I really do. Nothing would be greater in life than to see Russell Westbrook win a championship in this uniform. As it pertains to everything that he's been through and what it looks like from here just doesn't look possible. None of it looks possible. What would be better than to see that actually happen? And I don't know that it can't happen. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at. I don't know that it can't happen. When you look at how Thomas Bryant is playing, Dennis Schroeder is playing, and then you look at the fact that we have LeBron James, Anthony Davis saying no pain. Hopefully that's as positive as it sounds. And then you consider what Russell's looking like out there, and the fact that you can count on him to be healthy, knock on wood. So it's like, these are things I'm looking at. I'm like, all right, give me some shooters. If you got a nice little shooter or something, maybe we can add to this team that might help. Or continue to empower Max Christie. You know what I mean? I'm up for that. I think he can be a shooter for us. So these are the things I want the Lakers to think about, man. Just consider that we don't necessarily believe that we need as much high-level talent to get us the help that we need. We do need bodies, but they don't have to be of the greatest caliber necessarily as we thought we may need to bring this team what it is that they ultimately need. That's what it seems. I could be wrong, but a lot of this is still leaning on Anthony Davis coming back and being 100%. And that is something that we need to give some thought to as well. When you see TB playing this well, does he give you insurance for Anthony Davis? Does he make Anthony Davis' piece more likely that you can part with it? Since you have a center in place, maybe you can move him for other types of pieces. And then you have TB, great whatever you got for Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and other stuff that you kept. Because that's something to think about as well. If Anthony Davis is somebody you still think is very fragile and is only going to play 30 games a season, but you think you can get phenomenal all-star A, you know what I mean, for him to add to this unit, maybe you look at TB as somebody who helped that be possible for you. I don't know. I'm not saying that's making me move in any way. I'm just telling you what the Lakers could be looking at. Could be. So, these are different things, man. Guys start playing this well, playing this efficient, winning basketball games on $1.5 million contracts or what have you, like Schroeder and the TB are playing with. It gives you a flexibility and a leverage in trade negotiations that wasn't present as well. And this is what I meant by playing people right in proper rotations, being intellectually competitive in your nature, and how that trickles down to what the GM is capable of doing. I kid you not. This is what we were talking about. You run people properly, they look good, now your value is there. When people suck, nobody wants to take your trash. Do we have trash right now? Not a whole lot of it. Not when you consider the way this team been playing these last 5 games. Play them right, and it opens up everything for the whole entire franchise. You mess around, play people out of position with 5 guards on the floor looking as bad as we did on Christmas Day. Nobody wants anything we have when we look like that. BDL 44. Thank you all for watching.